Welcome into Locked On Phillies. What a big win in the series ender in Atlanta by the Phillies, and Nick Castellanos. Don't let him get hot. That's all on today's Locked On Phillies.
You are Locked On Phillies, your daily Philadelphia Phillies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I've been noticing I've been gesturing a lot by open. I don't know. I'm just real excited about where this team is right now. I'm Connor Thomas. I'm your host of Locked On Phillies. Been talking Phillies baseball for years over on 97.5 The Fanatic. Now happy to be with you here as your host of Locked On Phillies. And I want to thank you for making Locked On Phillies your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And today's episode is brought to you by Blue Nile. Make your moment sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com. And going on now is the Blue Nile Anniversary Sale. You can save up to 40% on classic fine jewelry pieces and 25% on engagement ring settings. So shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. Now, the Phils have already played today an early day game down there in Atlanta to finish off a weird two-game set. There was an off day Monday, and then the Phillies played Tuesday, Wednesday against the Braves, and now they come back home for a four-game series with the Washington Nationals. In the next segment, we're going to go ahead and preview that series with the Washington Nationals. So the final segment today will be stepping off. Got some fun stuff about some of the new guys at the trade deadline that I want to talk about. And we'll get into all of that. But a big win today for the Philadelphia Phillies. Let's start from the top with the starting pitching. Charlie Morton was very, very good for the Atlanta Braves today. Zack Wheeler was very, very good for the Philadelphia Phillies today. And Wheeler is clearly the ace of the staff. Aaron Nola has the ability to be that guy on certain occasions, to be as good as what Wheeler was today. But Nola will be that guy like probably 2 times out of 4. Wheeler will be that guy 9 times out of 10. And that consistency is just why he's clearly the ace of this staff. So you still, you have to score runs to win games. And the Phillies didn't score a lot. They ended up winning this game 3-1, but it's enough. And when you have Wheeler on the mound, these are the days where you can get away with that. I'll tell you one thing that scares me a little bit about the Braves, and a lot scares me about them, but seeing Austin Riley and what he's doing right now and how it seems like he's getting even better for them down there worries me about the new 10-year, $212 million contract he signed. Not excited to see that guy until 2032 with a player option until 2033. But hey, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. This is not a season where we're trying to chase down the Braves. It's frankly not. The Phillies are not trying to chase down the Braves. If they do, great. But the goal for the Phillies is to make it in the playoffs. And today, with this performance, they look like a playoff team. And they already did to me. But some wonderful acquisitions at the trade deadline. If you haven't watched our trade deadline bonanza show from yesterday, go ahead and check that out where I talk about the acquisitions of Brandon Marsh, Noah Syndergaard, David Robertson, what it means for the team, what I think Dave Dombrowski's thought process was, what the Phillies gave up. All of that is in yesterday's episode. So go to our channel for Locked On Phillies on YouTube. Or if you're listening on podcast, just go to the previous episode from this one you're listening to right now and check that out. But this was a tight game. It's tied at 1-1. There was a solo home run by Arcia for the Atlanta Braves. And the Phillies tacked one back on, but you're sitting at 1-1 in the top of the 8th inning. Got a runner on and Nick Castellanos at the dish. And the first run, by the way, for the Philadelphia Phillies was JT Realmuto beating out a ground ball to first base. A ground ball to first base. A double play ball. He beat it out at first base, allowing a run to score for the Philadelphia Phillies. So good wheels by JT to put them in the position that they needed to be in for Nick Castellanos to be able to do this. In a 1-1 game in the 8th inning, though, Nick Castellanos steps to the plate and absolutely delivers one of his biggest hits of the season. A 2-run home run, straightaway center field, got all of it, showed off some power. He had some great swings in the game. He looks like he's seeing the ball really well right now. I told you about 2 weeks ago, hey, it looks like Nick Castellanos is starting to get hot, and all he's done since then is stayed hot, had some big hits, more of a doubles guy normally, but his 9th home run of the year, straightaway center field, and it put the Phillies up 3-1. Then following that, you got to get through the bottom of the 8th and the bottom of the 9th. Jose Alvarado works out of a jam in the bottom of the 8th which is what he's been doing all year long, or 3/4 of the year so far, because he did have that rough start to the year that got him sent down. But he's been exceptional for well over the past month. He gets out of the 8th. And then in the 9th, David Robertson comes in for his first save as a Philadelphia Philly, well, this time around. And all he does, gets him 1, 2, 3. It was beautiful work by David Robertson, even if he was wearing blue Chicago Cubs cleats. Yeah, he hadn't gotten new cleats for the Philadelphia Phillies uniform yet, so he was wearing his blue Chicago Cubs cleats in this one. But hey, if it works, he might need to wear those cleats all year long for the Phillies, because he looked great. He looked incredible. He looked like what you thought you were getting the first time the Philadelphia Phillies brought him in here, the time that was marred by injuries. But that's the first that we've seen of any of the Phillies' deadline acquisitions, besides Edmundo Sosa getting a little bit of action late in the game. I think he pinch hit or something, or pinch ran. But this is the first actual impact situation for one of the Phillies' trade deadline acquisitions. And Robertson looked great. We'll see Noah Syndergaard tomorrow. He'll make his Philadelphia Phillies debut against the Nationals on Thursday night. You'll see Brandon Marsh tomorrow. He's expected to be in the lineup. You'll see Jean Segura is expected to be back and available tomorrow. So we will discuss all of that. And interesting how those guys slot in. That's a conversation for the next segment, because we'll discuss how I think the lineup should look against the Washington Nationals and who should slot in where, because it's a little bit of a logjam in a good way. And that's something we haven't been able to say about the Philadelphia Phillies for about a decade now. So that's a nice change of pace. But a huge win against the Atlanta Braves. Wheeler was dominant. The bullpen got their job done. The offense did what they needed to do, and Nick Castellanos came through with a big hit. These are the games against opponents like this that playoff teams win. Sometimes playoff teams come out and they throttle other teams. But when you face an opponent like the defending World Series champions at Truist Park, where the Braves are incredibly good, they're one of the better home teams in all of baseball. I think they're top 5 in home win percentage. You have to fight to win those type of games. They're never easy. And after getting beat 13-1 last night and getting smoked down there in Atlanta, well, the Phillies shook it off. They said, hey, we got wheels going today. We got our ace. We got our guy. We're seeing Charlie Morton, who we've hit well so far this year. And even though they didn't hit him well today, well, they got the job done and they won. And I literally just tweeted out before I came on here to record this. Say it with me, folks. The Philadelphia Phillies are going to be a playoff team. They absolutely are. I have no doubt in my mind right now. They're super talented. They added in the right spots. I could not be higher on the Philadelphia Phillies right now. Well, unless they traded for like Juan Soto like the Padres did. But as far as realistic expectations for this team, yeah, they're getting everything done and then some right now. And it was just a wonderful team win today. And for Nick Castellanos, the weight of the world has to feel off his shoulders, if for a moment. And he's got to continue to hit, and he's got to continue to have big moments down the stretch until Bryce Harper comes back, until Jean Segura we know is fully healthy, until these new guys get settled in. He's still one of the higher paid players on this team and still going to be in the middle of that lineup. Well, we'll discuss that next, but he should still be in the middle of the lineup. He's going to have other big moments, but a huge day for Nick Castellanos. And you just love to see it for a guy who is obviously struggling so far this season. So, fun day. Nothing to complain about in Philadelphia Phillies land for yours truly. You shouldn't have anything either. And we've got a very easy series coming up. So next, I'm going to preview the series with the Washington Nationals, what I think the new lineup for the Phillies is going to look like with the new acquisitions, what to look for in Noah Syndergaard's first start, and all of that in the next segment of Locked On Phillies. Today's episode, like I said, is brought to you by Blue Nile, and let me tell you a little bit more about BlueNile.com. You might be ready to pop the question, or you might just be celebrating a milestone moment. But either way, let's find jewelry as unique as her with the modern convenience of online shopping at BlueNile.com. Now, Blue Nile's got simple online tools. Even I can figure it out. It's easy. You just go ahead and you click the setting style you want, the diamond shape, size, clarity, all that stuff. And then Blue Nile's bench jewelers will make the perfect one-of-a-kind engagement ring for your special someone. Maybe you're just looking for fine jewelry instead, like earrings, a necklace, a bracelet, something like that, a ring that's not an engagement ring. Maybe it's an anklet, a toe ring. Who knows what you're looking for? But Blue Nile is jewelry experts on hand 24/7. They're available via phone or via web chat, and they can help you find a memorable gift at every budget. So make your moment sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com. And going on now is the Blue Nile Anniversary Sale. You can save up to 40% on classic fine jewelry pieces and 25% on engagement ring settings. Plus, every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. So shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. All right, let's get into the upcoming series between the Phillies and the Washington Nationals that starts tomorrow. I love these middle-of-the-week day game to next series turnarounds because it means I can recap a game and preview another game all at once. It makes me feel busy, and it makes the Phillies feel like they're doing extra good when they win and play an easy opponent like this. I feel great about them, and I told you in the first segment why I'm so high on the Phillies right now. Let's look at some of the pitching matchups to start off in this 4-game series with the Washington Nationals, where you should fully be expecting 3 of 4, and a sweep, I would say, is very, very possible. I never like to say a 4-game sweep is probable because, hey, they're good teams, even if they're the worst team in Major League Baseball, but that's what we're looking at. First off, tomorrow night, Thursday, August 4th, you have Noah Syndergaard versus Paulo Espino. Now, I'll tell you what Espino's done so far this year. He's 0-3 on the year with a 3.78 ERA and 50 Ks. Hasn't really done all that much for them. He hasn't really had all that many opportunities to start. 1.25 whip. And you're looking at a guy that has 66 2/3 innings pitched. So he's made some starts for them. He's missed some starts. 9 starts and 29 games played with a couple of relief appearances in there. He's not a guy that you expect to be a really tough guy on the mound. He might be for 3 or 4 innings, but he doesn't really have the longevity to give you too much trouble. Let me tell you what Noah Syndergaard has done so far this year. One of the new Philadelphia Phillies faces and the starting pitcher you've been looking for to fill out the back end of the rotation. He's 5-8 record-wise, but being with the Angels, that's understandable. They've fallen off the table. A 3.83 ERA, though, which is great. I think he slots in 4th or 5th, probably 5th in the rotation. Kyle Gibson and Ranger Suarez being so good lately. But either way, if that's your 5th starter, you could do certainly worse. He's got 64 Ks. He's not the strikeout guy that you're used to seeing when he was here in the division with the New York Mets. But a 1.21 whip shows that he can still get the job done. And he's a guy that's going to take care of business, and he's been around the block before. So far this year, he's got, let me go ahead and see if I can even find his yearly stats. They don't have it up here because he just switched teams. But I'd say he's thrown probably about 90 innings. Yeah, 80 innings so far. The issue with Syndergaard that we'll have to keep an eye on is coming off of a major arm injury. He's been pitching on longer rests. So we'll have to see if the Phillies can actually get him to throw every 5 days. But with a lot of off days coming up in the next couple of weeks, well, the Phillies should be able to mitigate that fine. So that's game 1 of the series. You get to see Syndergaard for the first time, and something to look forward to as far as the pitching matchup. Advantage Phillies. Kyle Gibson faces Josiah Gray in game 2. We've seen Gray a bunch this year. The Phillies are better than Josiah Gray. Gibson is better than Josiah Gray. And even though Gray may be the Nationals' best pitcher so far this year, the Phillies should win that as well. Ranger Suarez faces off against Patrick Corbin. Patrick Corbin has been awful this year. He's been a terrible signing for the Washington Nationals as of the past couple of years. Not a bad first year down there for him, but since that first year, which I believe was the World Series winning year, he just hasn't given them anything. And then Aaron Nola faces off against, tell me if you know Corey Abbott. Corey Abbott's a 26-year-old right-handed pitcher who just has done very little for this team. He's got 26 1/3 career innings pitched at the major league level. So a very young player. He's one of the guys that came back from the Chicago Cubs at the trade deadline with the Washington Nationals selling off. And Corey Abbott is not a guy that you should be worried about, especially when he's facing Aaron Nola. So the Phillies, an advantage in each of the 4 games of the series with the Washington Nationals on the mound. They'll have the advantage in the lineup too. You remember when I told you that maybe the best Juan Soto situation is that he does get traded because maybe it makes the Washington Nationals, who the Phillies play 11 more times this year, much easier to beat? Well, Juan Soto's gone. Josh Bell is gone. There is nobody on this team to worry about as far as guys you have to work around on the mound and be afraid of at the dish. No, the Nationals have nobody left. They've sold everybody off. These should be all very winnable games for the Phillies. So that lineup is not concerning. But I do want to talk about the Phillies lineup a little bit and see how guys slot in. Because tomorrow night, you're going to have Gene Segura available. You're going to have Brandon Marsh playing center field. And Rob Thompson already said he will be the everyday center fielder for the Philadelphia Phillies going forward. So how do they all slot in? Well, leading off is going to be Kyle Schwarber still. And I've got Kyle Schwarber leading off and playing right field. He's going to have to be out there in the field because, well, you're going to have to figure out who DH is, but we'll talk about that. Leading off, Kyle Schwarber. Batting second, I've got Rhys Hoskins batting second for the time being. Ultimately, I want Jean Segura to be in that 2-hole. I think he fits very, very well there. I don't know what he is yet as far as coming back from injury, so I would start him a little bit lower down in the lineup. But first baseman, Rhys Hoskins in the 2-hole. The 3-hole, I'm going to go ahead and keep it where the Philadelphia Phillies have it for the time being right now. I'm going to have Alec Bohm in the 3-hole. He's been up there recently, and even though he's cooled off a little bit, his mix of a little bit of pop and the doubles ability, he's been really good lately, so I'm keeping him there. The cleanup spot, I'm going to have Nick Castellanos in the cleanup spot. So I'm going to put him at 4. I think he's starting to show that he's getting hot. We're going to bump him up a little bit, and he's going to play left field. 5th, I'm going to put Derek Hall there as your designated hitter. Derek Hall, the best left-handed hitter that you've got to go ahead and leave the yard as far as those younger guys. Better than Bryson Stott at that. You're going to get a better opportunity. No Odubel Herrera anymore after the DFA. So Derek Hall DHs, batting 5th. Batting 6th, playing second base is going to be Jean Segura. I'm going to put him 6th. I think that's a nice spot for him to be. Then JT Realmuto is going to bat 7th, I guess. I mean, you got to drop him low down. See, like you see this, right? I've gone through all these guys already, and you still got a JT Realmuto batting 7th. This lineup is dangerous now from top to bottom with these additions. I'm going to have Brandon Marsh batting 9th, playing center field, which means the one other position we need is shortstop. Does Didi Gregorius play? A left-handed bat. He varies it up a little bit. I like the other left-handed bat. I'm playing Bryson Stott at shortstop. I'm playing Jean Segura at 2nd. I'm playing Alec Bohm at 3rd and Rhys Hoskins at 1st. And that's going to be my steady lineup in the infield going forward. Stott with a huge heads-up defensive play today from second base. And I just honestly trust him more than Didi Gregorius. Didi's not a bad left-handed bat to have coming off the bench, and he'll get his share of starts. But I'm going with the kid to start. So, again, it's Schwarber, Hoskins, Bohm, Castellanos, Hall. Who'd I say after Hall? At 6. Segura. Then 7, Realmuto. 8, you're going with Stott. And 9, you're going with Brandon Marsh, the new acquisition from the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Very fast guy. Give him a chance to be at the bottom of the lineup. No pressure at all at the dish. Just go out there and play a tough center field and give us what you can give us at the bottom of the lineup. And maybe he can set the table a little bit later in the game for guys like Kyle Schwarber or Rhys Hoskins or Alec Bohm. So that's what I would do lineup-wise, and we'll see how the Philadelphia Phillies line up in this next game because it'll be their first with all of their new acquisitions available, and can't wait to see Jean Segura back in Phillies pinstripes. So, hey, fun game to watch tomorrow night at home versus the Washington Nationals. We'll all be tuned in for that at 7:05. Coming up next, we have Stepping Off. And Stepping Off is where take a break from the inside the lines of baseball. We step off the mound, deep breath, and talk about something a little bit it's baseball adjacent, I always like to call it. So I'll discuss what we're going into next. It has to deal with the new acquisitions and some quirky things about them. That'll be our final segment on today's Locked On Phillies. Let me tell you a little bit about BetOnline. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. You can find all your favorite sports and events at the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. You can find reviews and news of every league, including Major League Baseball, the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports wagering information. From live in-game betting, scores, and podcasts, they have you covered. So head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn more about the action happening today. BetOnline, it's where the game starts. All right, so it's time for stepping off. So we're going to step off the mound, take a deep breath, and we're going to talk about something baseball adjacent when it comes to the new acquisitions. I'm going to tell you about my favorite thing off the field about each of these new players that the Philadelphia Phillies have acquired. The 3 at the deadline, not really Edmundo Sosa, because frankly, I don't know anything about Edmundo Sosa, and neither do you, and neither does anybody, because he's not really going to play all that much. I told you, it was a setup move to make other guys fit better, and that's kind of how it worked out. So But David Robertson, Noah Syndergaard, and Brandon Marsh, I'm going to tell you my favorite quirky things off the field about them, starting with Brandon Marsh. This guy is what you would call a dirtbag. And that's an endearing term for baseball. If you're not familiar with it, it's a guy that plays the game the right way, plays hard, isn't afraid to get his uniform dirty. A guy you hate to play against. You see that guy come up, it's got just a huge beard, hair down to the middle of his back. Looks like he hasn't shaved or showered in days. All he cares about is field and fly balls, taking batting practice. You see he's probably covered with pine tar. He's covered with dirt from making some play or sliding into second base or something. He's a guy you just know loves the game, is a gamer, shows up ready to go, and is going to fight to try and help his team win. That's what a dirtbag is. And his look just has that. I love guys that look the part. And yes, there's already been plenty of comparisons drawn to Jason Worth, who was another great outfield acquisition in the city way back in the day in the early 2000s. Yeah, Brandon Marsh looks very much like Jason Worth, and he plays with a tough style. I think the city is going to love him if he's able to hit at the dish. And even if he's not, because he's not Odubel Herrera, he's already one step ahead of the 8-ball. So I love the appearance of Brandon Marsh, what he looks like, and the way he presents himself as to how he plays the game, and also seems like a genuine guy. Saw some post-game sound from him after he found out he was traded by the Angels, and yeah, he's a Georgia guy, excited to be back here on the East Coast. Think he's going to fit in great in this city. Next, David Robertson. David Robertson, what I love about him is the vindication factor. We've already seen him throw, and we know he did a great job in today's game closing it out, getting his first save as a Philly this time around. But Robertson owes this Phillies organization. And by all accounts, he's an incredibly nice guy. And he feels, I don't know if guilty is the right word, but he feels responsible for not giving this team as much as he should have the last time he was here. And I can't fault him for it. Injuries happen. Like, I blew out my elbow multiple times in college. You think I wanted to? No. Like, that stuff just happens. And sometimes there's nothing you can do to prepare and avoid it. But he feels like he owes this city something. He owes this team and this fan base something. He's super talented and can deliver on it. And that extra motivation is my favorite thing about David Robertson coming back. He's just a guy that has something to prove to this fan base, who's already a veteran that we trust. It's a great combination of a guy that's going to be huge in the back end of the bullpen for you this season. So David Robertson, that extra motivation he has from trying to vindicate himself after his first stopover in Philadelphia, that's my favorite off the field thing about him. And finally, Noah Syndergaard, who probably has the most personality of all of these guys. Okay, he definitely does. The long flowing hair. Used to have a little bit of the facial hair, but you knew him in New York for the Thor-like appearance and his nickname. My favorite thing is how he interacts with mascots off the field, and he's a personality. He had beef with Mr. Met when he was a member of the Mets. He had beef with the Phillie fanatic in the past. And if you turned on the TV at all in the Philadelphia area, you've seen the old clip of Noah Syndergaard jumping on the Phillie Fanatics ATV and stealing it during a game here at Citizens Bank Park back in the day when he was with the Mets. Yeah, those whole antics and everything. Noah Syndergaard is a panderer, very much the way Bryce Harper is a panderer. And I don't mean that in a bad way. They know how to play up to a fan base. They know how to endear themselves to a new fan base, and they know how to play the game of being likable. So, love that. The more likable they are, the better the fans will treat them, the better the team will perform. Likability is a good thing. And while it's not the most important thing, Noah Syndergaard has it in spades. So that's what I'm most excited about these new acquisitions off the field. And it's just going to be fun to watch how they grow with this city. That's all the time I've got for you for today's Locked On Phillies. I want to thank you for making Locked On Phillies your first listen every day. Skip some words in there. Now make your second listen Locked On MLB. Paul Francis Sullivan has the latest news from around Major League Baseball. A lot of players in new places. If you want to get updated on everything outside of what's going on in Phillies world, check out Sully's work on Locked On MLB. It's available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. And please continue to like, review, subscribe, all that good stuff to Locked On Phillies so you don't miss a moment of this playoff run. That's all I've got for you today, and I will talk to you tomorrow on the next edition of Locked On Phillies.